Pete, I mean, people tune in for everything, so you never know. Right.
We get people tuning in.
I have hit the go button. Ooh!
Oh. Good.
I don't know if this is a before or after conversation, but we need to come up with some days because we are being offered conversation from brews and beer makers, but they want they're slightly special asks and offers because Stephen at Horton Ridge is unavailable on Wednesdays. He can't do Wednesdays, but he can do other nights of the week, and we just need to settle down on when we can hopefully make that work. And Danielle down at Mac 902 wants to have us for Korean rice beer.
Right. Okie dokie.
But, and this isn't a problem, but it's a complication. She says, it really goes best with food, so I want to cook for you. And I'm like, huh. Okay. That's difficult to do through video. So we might, I'm trying to work out how best to accomplish that and talk to Danielle.
Okay.
In a slightly less at the science of beer, mildly inebriated version. I was just so excited. Anyway, regardless, that's a whole nother conversation. Are you all ready? I shall do the thing and we can be all set.
I've got my cans, mate, if that's what you're suggesting. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got my cans and my glasses. I'm good to go.
Okay. I'm trying something different. And I'll talk you through it. But
okay.
To go through. I am Ross, and joining me is my co-host Ian, and together, despite the fact that I cannot tell breweries apart for some reason for how long we've been doing this, we are attempting to drink Nova Scotia Dry. Immediate apologies to Burnside Brewing, because every time I see the B on the side, because I won't say I was used to Spindrift, but I was a little used to calling it Spindrift. The change over to Burnside, I am the last one to adhere to the change, because I see the B, and I advertise it, I hit @ to Breton Brewing, so I apologize. Big apologies to Burnside Brewing. We are talking about Burnside Brewing is one of the double IPAs we've got tonight. Chose some strong ones, not on purpose, but honestly, it all came down to the big can. This is, other than the comically oversized can of Foster's you can get sometimes in the LC, this is the biggest can of beer I've ever seen.
It's been an obelisk in my fridge for a few weeks now, so I'm glad that I'm glad we're finally taking the plunge. You gave me the option online yesterday and said, should we do some re-Scotch heavies? Or were they the heavies? I forget now. Or these double IPAs. And much as we're clambering for heavies, I'm kind of like, I've really got a thing for double IPAs now, so let's go and do it. And we've been hanging on to this big old fat can. I haven't even looked at the size. I've ogled the size of it. It's like I say, it's immense. It's an immense thing, but I haven't actually seen the quantity that's in it. I haven't read the can, so you're going to put me right, aren't you?
Oh, yes, because two things. One, standard tall boy. I mean, standard short can that you get in like a 12-pack, 355 milliliters. You go 100 more for the tall boy here at 473. Then, if you're really feeling good, you head on over to Roofhound and their little stubby bottles. Those all say 500 milliliters on them. So that's another 25-ish. Quarter of a no. 25 milliliters isn't a quarter of anything. It's a quarter of a centiliter.
You've rounded up all those numbers.
I have.
Yeah, you've rounded all those numbers.
This giant can is 568. So it's another.
It's a proper pint, my friend.
She's 50 on top of that. I'm a little worried, and I don't have a glass big enough to fit it. So I started thinking.
Hasn't been built that could take the job.
I started thinking today, because this has been an issue where we always try to make sure that the whole thing goes in the glass, because you get the sea monkeys down at the bottom, and that is important, because obviously you can't shake a beer before splitting it and pouring it into into a glass. You get the whole thing in there, so it stirs up and you get the entirety of the taste. Yes, this is what we've come up with. I have come up with a new plan to stir the contents of the beer beforehand, because I know I don't have anything that will hold 568 milliliters. You might have a very large mug. I do not. So I'll show you what I did. I gently turned them upside down.
Okay.
So that the
all
plan...
the monkey fall to the bottom of the can.
In theory, yes. But now, as I gently turn it back upright, that should stir it as best as I possibly can to pour it, because in case I don't pour the whole thing in, I'm going to drink the whole thing, but it should keep the flavor continuous through the can. That's my hope.
Beer science 102.
It's an attempt.
And you can upside down with a few things.
Just to be fair, I did the same thing to the North Brewing's High Five. So I think we'll start with a small can, because usually we go with the weakest of the two, weakest ABV, and they are both rocking it at 8.5. So here we go. And I will do, here is the light turn. There remains something in my throat, but I'm fine. Coming in from North Brewing out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. I can get this one correctly because there's no other N. I don't think there's another N in the Nova Scotia breweries. 'Tis the Hi-Fi Double IPA. There it is, coming in a strong beer at 8.5%. There isn't
Another
anything.
Cool can.
Delightful
Another
can. I was worried that we'd done this one before.
Right.
Says on the side, fresh, vintage, and vibes is the description, so thankfully I can look up a bit more on their site. Northbrewing.ca does say, and several of these things worry me, West Coast throwback. Extra long boil of Maris, Otter, and Pale Wort with multiple whirlpool additions of old and new school hops. Big body with big hop flavor and bitterness while maintaining great drinking balance.
If we'd read that 6 months ago, we'd have still been on the, oh no, this is going to be...
I'd be worried.
Yeah, bring it up. Yeah.
But if it has not been obvious in recent weeks, we've had a North Brewing beer, or at least I have, for the last 3 weeks. Every week we've snuck in a North Brewing one. And I think it's partially because we really like them, partially because they come out with interesting things, and I'm like, well, we got to get it in there. We got to try this. We got to have it. And just through total, by mostly accident, although it could be subconscious thought, we've been focusing an awful lot on North Brewing. So don't worry, we're not being paid to try everything out of North Brewing. My upside down can did not explode all over the place. I'm quite proud of my method, I got to say. Ooh.
We are advertising them heavily because I've got the glass of water. Now, also before, there was one word in there which would have had us, even now, thinking, are we really going to enjoy this? Mm-hmm. West Coast. Because we've both decided that we're kind of East Coast versions. The Westies don't generally do it for us. However, it is a double IPA, and we routinely now being won over by the double IPAs.
Yep.
So this is going to be very interesting.
Old and new school hops. That I'm curious about that. Extra long boil. That is the first time I think a beer description has really gone deep into the chemistry. Sometimes we talk to the brewers and they tell us about the boil length and everything like that, but I feel like it's the first time it's just been in the generic description. Big body has me excited. Big hop flavor has me a little bit on the fence, and bitterness, but maintaining great drinking balance. And I'm thinking, okay, North, we've had several of your brews before, and if you say it maintains drinking balance, yeah, benefit of the doubt. I don't believe you until I don't.
It looks, the ones we know what we like. We like these big, hazy, juicy things, and this is far from that. From the look of it, this
very
looks
clear,
like an IPA, and I don't know. And it smells very hoppy too. Now, quite often the big stuff that we like, the double IPAs, the big juicy ones, don't. They smell fruity. They smell rather like what the other one is going to do. Big old fruity, tropical, hazy thing.
Yeah.
This one is definitely got more of an IPA smell to it. When I cracked the can, it was very hoppy.
I didn't think that it was overpoweringly hoppy, though. For an 8.5% double IPA, you smell it and you think, yeah, that's sessionable. It smells. Is it? Do you not think it smells not overpowering to me?
Okay.
It smells easier than my worst fears. Pardon?
Did you get it on your? Can't even talk. I haven't touched a drop and I can't talk. Did you get it all in your glass?
It's all in my lovely little mug that I got from North Brewing. A 473 can fits perfect. Look at that. And even room to spare. A little bit of head on the top, and I'm golden.
I can't get it in this one.
No, I gave you the smaller glass.
This is the North Brewing. You did give me this. I'm not going to transfer it. I do have one the same size you got with the old bubbles in it, the very British-looking mug with a handle, hankety mug. But that I was thinking it was already cold enough because I dragged these out of the fridge like as soon as I came in from work. So they've only been out of the fridge about 20 minutes. And I thought, I don't want to put them into my frozen mug as well. I do like a cold IPA, but I don't want it to be ice cold.
It needs the flavor. It needs definitely, it needs to
yes, it does. Yeah.
drink a little bit of room temperature.
It smells like an IPA to me, mate, and that because it is. But are you saying it's a little more subtle?
A little citrusy sweetness. I am smelling a tiny bit of a. Just a bit. Again, not overpowering. So I'm really looking forward to this. Oh, I'm thirsty.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Me too. Thank you.
All right.
Cheers. Quite smooth.
It's really easy to drink for an 8.5 double IPA.
Yeah, it maintains that IPA-ness that
we don't
I'm not drawn to.
Like, yes.
Unfortunate.
But it's
the bitterness.
Yeah. I feel like there is a balance, but it's still winning. It's more balanced than other IPAs that have made us twerk up our face.
You said, are you getting that hint of citrus that you nosed?
Yes. A little bit of a sweet, like a tangerine.
Okay.
Sweet clementine-y thing. Very light, very light. I don't think it's lemon, no. Doesn't seem to be mango.
Sharp, isn't it?
It feels more like a grapefruit because of the bitterness, because of that.
Can something be smooth and at the same? It is quite easy. I think the sharpness must be the tang of the citrus just sort of cuts through the bitterness. It's refreshing, Ross. It's still bitter, but it's surprisingly refreshing. It maintains that IPA-ness that I
am not drawn. You were right. Drawn to is a great way to describe it. We aren't drawn to that kind of flavor. We will drink it. It is a beer in front of us. But will you have another of those? And what else is on tap? I think
I don't know yet. Did I get the whole thing in? Hang on. Yes, I did. I got the whole thing in. So any sediment is going to be in there. And to be honest, mate, It's quite clear. It's slightly hazy, but there's no sediment that I can see. That's filtered. It looks like a proper pint of beer, and it tastes like it's strong, but not difficult to drink.
It's not a surprising taste to it. This is kind of what we expect. Because oftentimes we are shocked by how tasty to us. And not that I'm getting a lot of pine in this, but I'm definitely getting a lot of bitterness. And like that sour puckerage of too much hop and like the citrusy side of a hop. So maybe there's like certain hops that go this certain way. But no, I wouldn't have a second.
It's kind of funny that it almost feels like a return to when we were doing IPAs before, when we were like, "Oh, get these," and we couldn't distinguish really one another. They were all just very IPA-ish. This one, maybe that is the profile
for the West Coast.
Definitely for the new northeast.
Oh, now you're breaking up fully. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, your leaves. This more likes throwback to the IPAs. Turned me off IPAs in the first place, but better than this is a really rubbish way of describing it, but maybe my palate has got used to it a little more, so it's easier to drink for me, and it's certainly smoother than maybe some of those face-turny, inside-outy IPAs that we drunk in the past.
West Coast.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, I can hear you fine. You were choppy for a second there, but I think that's on my end. West Coast are known for their high bitterness, dry finish, and assertive, often piney hop aromas, while East Coast are more fruit-forward with a softer, sometimes even a sweet malt profile and hazy appearance. So,
give me that.
This crisp, super bitter, and I'm like, dry finish. I have this argument sometimes with people whenever they say things like, well, do you like wine? And I say, no. But it's just, I drink wine. I have had wine. I will not turn it away or, spit it out or anything like that. But my palate is not aligned for wine drinking, because what is appreciated in wine, seemingly everyone says, not everyone loves a dry wine. I get that, but it feels like that's the overwhelming majority of, try this. It's a really, really nice dry white wine. I think if I want to drink something that tastes like it once had flavor, but it's across the room and at the back of the closet, why? Why would I want to drink something that tastes like you're chasing after a flavor that was here 3 days ago and just lingers? Never.
You like sweet things.
Yeah, sweet, obvious.
You like sweet things.
Malt, body, forward, hazy, fruit forward.
I like that in my beer. Wine, and you said you don't really drink a lot of wine. I do drink a lot of wine, red wine, and I like mine the drier side of medium, to be honest. The sweet ones tend to be a little bit little bit too cloying for me, whereas the drier ones I find easier to drink. That isn't the same with this beer, unfortunately. No, not unfortunately, because I'm now knowing what I like from IPAs, and I will definitely, if someone places a big fruity, hazy, squashy IPA in front of me, as opposed to what I thought was all IPAs originally, which is these bitter, very hoppy, sharp, kind of citrusy, thing offerings. I know which one I want now, and that's nice, though, isn't it? It's nice to be able to really nail down what you like when, because there are so many IPAs. So it is nice to be able to know now which ones we definitely lean towards. This one, even though North Brewing, like you said, that we've tried so many of their beers, and so many of them are really, really good. This is really, really good too. So I reckon someone that likes West Coast and traditional hoppy IPAs is probably going to really love this. I don't, but I think it's very good.
I think Kier might really like this. Ananda would probably enjoy this as well. Do you see on the bottom of the can, you could kind of make it out here. If I bought these both on the same day, or if I think these were from your collection, these were purchased March of this year, March 2025. So these are definitely recent additions for us.
Yep. I just got the hint of pine.
Oh.
It really smacked me all of a sudden. I was like, oh my God, there it is. It's right there. Yeah. And that was 2/3 of the way down. So us turning them upside down, maybe that pine was the top third of the can. I got the hint of pine is what I'm getting at.
I like the body on it. It doesn't feel too light. It doesn't feel wispy. It does come through with its dry finish and quite bitter, but it goes wham! It arrives. It's clunk. Here I am. There's a tiny bit of a sweetness that might be sort of either the citrus or the citra-y hops part of it at the very front, but it turns immediately into that dry bitterness that I prefer less. Don't love.
Yeah, you don't love it. Picking up on that pine yet?
Maybe a tiny bit. I can't quite. I mean, it does sort of feel it's that same kind of. I feel like you just. Oh, it's that burny. Yeah. Well.
Like all the noises that we associate with IPAs from three.
My IPA noises. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like you brought up here and Ananda there. I think they'd both love this. I think most IPA people would really appreciate this. It's probably doing a lot of things that they look for in a beer. Not me personally, but I certainly do acknowledge better IPAs than the less better ones, and I think this is definitely on the better side. And it's a double. It's 8.5%, so I'm not having 2 or 3 of these, even if I did really like it.
Top to bottom, I don't feel like I've had an 8.5% beer. I gotta say. I mean,
I do.
I could feel like that it was tasting kind of, this is a little stronger, but IPAs usually are in the realm of 6. See, that's a guessing game that I would totally play as Kuva Labs. Instead of guessing what kind of beer it is, which, not to brag, I was two for 2 at the science of beer, but not to say that it's too easy to guess what kind of beer it is. I would be curious to guess what the alcohol percentage is, because we've had strong ones that taste easy, light ones that taste like burning. This has got a bit of a burn to it. Definitely an aftertaste. I'm still there is a acidity sitting at the back of my throat. Still.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe the Sky High DIPAs wasn't the best idea.
Already.
Oh, really? Okay.
12 hours in a manufacturing plant. I probably didn't drink enough water or eat enough food. I'm feeling this already 3/4 of the way down the first can. And the second one is only 568 milliliters.
Yeah, good news.
That's excellent.
Moving on. And the other side of things, on the second one, this is the other good part about having the cans upside down. I can examine when these were cans. And unless I miss my guess, this was canned in October 12th of just last year.
Okey-dokey.
That's what I've got on this one. But this is from Burnside No, you shut your mouth. Burnside Brewing. Apologies to Burnside Brewing. Apologies to Breton for getting the two confused. I can remember and figure out 2 different brewery names most of the time. This is called Happy Place double IPA from Burnside, and I did take the picture of it, but there it is down at the bottom. It says 568 milliliters. It is the tallest can of beer you can find in the liquor store currently, I think, at least in the craft beer section. I'm not sure what else is there. On the side of the now, bearing in mind this is a Grateful Dead album cover going on here with the happy face peeling apart with the skulls, and there's all the very vibrant color liquidity going on. There's just pouring. There's a little bit of sand down at the bottom. I think it almost seems like this is teeth along the bottom. I think this is maybe part of the skull teeth, so it's sort of a picture within a picture, and then the happy places. So it's going for a bit of a lucid dream, acid trip type thing. So maybe we're going at that. It's I've seen the occasional animated feature from the 60s and 70s, so it's possible that I know sort of what they're going for here. We'll have to ask if we talk to them in the future. On the side of the can, it does have the description. It says, "Find your happy place. We've found ours." And it's right here, deep in the heart of flavor country, with this hazy double IPA, a fuller body, higher ABV, and layered hop additions amplify the tropical fruit notes in this juicy brew we may never want to leave.
I had a mouthful of this, spoiler alert, probably 3 or 4 months ago.
You said.
So only a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a cheat because Rebecca and I, when we started getting quite into these juicy things, we picked up a couple of these. We picked up this one and the oh goodness me, what's it called? The tropical storm.
Oh yes,
we
yes,
picked
yes.
one of those up each, right? And we've already done the tropical storm, have we not?
Yep.
I love it. I love that so much. And it seemed almost like this one, I was like, if it wasn't for the tropical storm, I think Happy Place would have really bowled me over. It was because I had a mouthful of that after the tropical storm, which was even more tropical than this one. However, I remember thinking at the time, this is bloody lovely, but it was only a mouthful. I thought, I want to hold off. I want to hold off till an evening with you so that we could do a can together. And we're doing a can together. So I'm looking forward to it, Ross, but I know it's good.
Well, in comparison, since we don't really appreciate the West Coast style, but we found that we were really appreciating the East Coast or hazy style, maybe this is the night that this one is going to hit just right, especially after one that we sort of say, not quite my style, not quite what my taste bud proclivities might be. I don't know if I'm using the word in the correct way there.
Taste bud, yes.
Yeah.
You're using that correct way.
Okay, just making sure.
Look at that big old hazy, juicy bod.
Yes.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
With all,
Stuff
I
right
can
there.
see some sea monkeys floating in there already.
Mild advertisement for the Sackvegas
it's-
Brew Company down there in 833 Sackville Drive in Lower Sackville. But I learned I have 2 Toller glasses, which I have managed to acquire while purchasing lots of Toller Gold over the years. Sometimes you get them with the cases and whatnot, but I apparently don't have a Burnside Brewing glass because I think I started collecting them as Spindrift was changing over to Burnside, so I don't have one from the new place. I'll have to stop by and in Burnside Industrial Park, because I have actually been there to pick up, what was I picking up that night? Toller Lime for my family. I was trying to see if their lime lager would go over well with my family. Specifically, my mother, who hails from Scotland, and would always talk about a lager and lime. For as long as I have been... for as long as I've known my mother, so life, she has not really partaken in the alcoholic beverages, but when she cooks a spicy curry, she will always say, "Ooh, I think I'd like a beer." And then there's always a follow-up. Would anyone like to split one with me? She can have half a beer with a really spicy curry. So
Me too. And I
I've
can have about 8 more.
yeah, well, but I've tried figuring out what I need to find. If you're only having a half a beer, how do I do this? How do I make this work? So I keep trying to bring different things and ooh, try this. And honestly, she likes ones that are like a very clear, crisp, like the Hoppy Buoy has been popular from Garrison. And one of the other ones, but often this was how I found Toller Gold in the first place because my brother-in-law Matt brought it around, my sister's husband. He said, I think this would go really well with a curry. And I'm like, this is delicious. It would go well with everything. As he explains loudly to everybody he knows.
Well, I wonder if you're going to have an Indian curry, does an IPA necessarily complement it? I mean, sending it down to the Raj all those years ago, as the Brits did, I don't know if the local they weren't local Brits. I don't know if the Brits themselves were eating the curries, but the IPAs there were for the Brits living there. I wonder if the Indians would have paired an IPA with their curry. Would you typically do that if you were going to have a curry? Would you have an IPA with it?
No.
No. Okay. What would you have with it?
A lager, I have to say.
A lager.
A lager. A crisp lager.
Yeah.
And that is why, so, and the thing, this is the confusion of poor Nova Scotians as they go in and they have Keith's IPA with spicy food saying, this is perfect. And you go anywhere else in the world and say, oh, I'm having spicy food. I'll have an IPA, please. And they arrive with Tim's IPA from Nine Locks or something like that. And the person will go, oh, and it will ruin their day. I was brought to a curry house. I was visiting Scotland many a year ago with my cousins, and they took me to a place, and they basically you could order, oh, I'll have the beer, whatever the house beer was, and the brand happened to be something called Kingfisher.
Yeah, Kingfisher. Yeah,
and
famous.
As I was drinking my Kingfisher lager, I believe, I had my Kingfisher, and with this spicy, so well made Indian, it was such a good meal. But the Kingfisher, and I'm not sure if it was because I was in Scotland, because of the batch, because they get something different there than we get here, or whether it was the Indian food and the curry house, but it was the best beer I've ever had in my life. It was specific to that moment in that place, that glass was the great, it just hit. It all hit just the right way. And the only thing that's come close is the first couple of times I've tried Toller around a fire while roasting marshmallows and stuff.
But you were eating a curry at the time.
I was, and it was, and not to say
nailed.
It was slightly more authentic Indian curry, Indian cuisine than you might get in the Annapolis Valley.
Okay.
Because
but Kingfisher is a very famous one. Famous, Indian lager that goes with Indian foods in the UK. It's mass produced, and so many establishments will serve Kingfisher with it, and for good reason, right? Because it's freaking good.
It was. Years later, though, I was finding my way through, and I kept looking it up, and finally I found something, and it said, oh, we're an alcohol seller, a wholesaler here in, I think it was in the Sunnyside Mall, and they said, we have cases of Kingfisher. I was like, get in the car, and drive straight there. I am buying a case of Kingfisher. Everyone needs to try this. This is the greatest beer I've ever had. This is so good. Went down, bought it, I don't even remember if it was in cans, bottles, what, but I bought it. And we drank it, and we all went, yeah. It sort of tastes like Keats, I'm sorry. This basically and it had that aftertaste, that stank, that kind of like that hoppy thing that I'm still getting in my mouth from this hi-fi. I still have it. The bitter aftertaste is still sitting at the back. The acidity. And
so it complements the meal, but drinking as a session beer, nah.
Or if you drink it at a curry house in Troon, Scotland, on tap, it tastes different than out of a bottle from a wholesaler in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Who'd have thought?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
While you've been
Ooh.
um, filling me in on that lovely story
Sorry.
of the past, I have managed this. I have managed, Ross.
Oh.
This King Street glass from Saltbox. How big do you think this is?
Did it fit all 568 milliliters?
It's a full pint glass. I just absolute dream left in that. I've let the head dip. And I'm telling you now, I have just filled the entire. I'm going to have to take my first couple of sips with my lip at the table, but because I don't want to pick it up. It has completely emptied the this can. This is a full 568 ml glass, the Saltbox one that you gave me.
Now is
That's a
that
full pint, mate. That's a full imperial pint. That is incredible. I couldn't, unless I'd seen it myself and I've been pouring it myself, I wouldn't have believed it.
19.2. So I should have got one of my 20-ounce glasses, but I didn't think that far ahead. Anywho, I'm putting it in the old Sac Vegas Beer Company down at 833 Sackville Drive.
I'm not picking mine up. I'm going to go diving like a penguin.
Right then.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now I can pick it up. And hello, fruity, hazy, orangey, quite orangey.
Oh, something else is going on. There's what's?
Is the orange hits me first? Oh, grapefruit, of course. There it is. This grapefruit.
But.
It's tropical.
Are you sensing a malty middle or back end? I'm getting some caramelish, bready, kind of grainy notes going on in there. Ooh, and all the burps. Pardon. I don't think we burp enough. Can I say that? I don't think we do. We should be just letting them fly.
You mean you and I specifically, or people in general?
You and I, within the purposes of this show. Let's take one. Speaking of curry houses and the country of India, where I once learned that when you are out for a meal, it is impolite to leave before you have happily belched, as that is the best compliment to the cook, to the chef. I've heard that.
Depends where you are, does it? I think it's Saudi Arabia or somewhere.
Maybe. But I heard that as a kid, and so we always used to pretend that it was polite to belch. It's not. But in the purposes of this show, we are here for one purpose and one purpose. We're not having this with like a fine cheese on the side. We're not here with the Greek tapas or anything like that. We're here. It's beer and beer alone. So I think we should allow ourselves to be all like, yeah, that's pretty good. Wow.
How do you know I haven't got a lovely cheese on the side here that I nibble when I go, whenever you're not looking?
You've got peanuts, and we all know it.
I know, I've got peanuts. Ross?
Yes.
I look for this in a double IPA. This has got all the fruity notes and tropical fruits and hazy stuff. Yes, there's also some nice malt. There's a malty backbone as well, which just balances it really nicely. It's around my mouth. It's so easy to drink.
It's very easy to drink.
I thought this would happen.
This is sneakily... this is sneakily good. It's not kind of, wow, this is amazing. It's sort of, yeah, this is kind of like this is the entry level dipper. A little bit of a malt in there, a little bit of the. So yes, this is quite easily to get down the palate. It doesn't leave any kind of burning sensation. What is it, about a 6.3, 6.4% alcohol? Is it, Barnaby? And Barnaby immediately replies, "Nah, mate, that's an 8.5." And then first you question where where Barnaby's from, because I don't know what the hell kind of accent that one was. But it's a sneaky percent. Neither of these. I thought we were going to be, whew, that's a strong ale at 8.5%. Neither of them are hitting me with the boozy.
I can feel it. I mean, I said I got 2/3 of the way through the last glass, and I could feel it. I can certainly feel it now. Yeah, I'm glad we did it this way around, because if we'd have had this big fruity smash first, then the bitterness and the acidity and sourness of the other one would have been accentuated. It would have been really hard to get through.
It would have hurt even more. I think you're right.
I did leave. I had the presence of mind to leave just a couple of fingers of the other one, because I wanted to go back to it just to see for myself. But these are two entirely different to me. They're both double IPAs, but God, Ross, they're so different, aren't they?
They are quite different.
You either like the big hoppy numbers, so different. You either like the big hoppy numbers, and there are so many hopheads that still thought they would lean towards those West Coast. But it's really cool that we have two such different. I know we're only separated by 5,000 miles, but our IPAs are so different. It's very weird.
I think I'm learning to appreciate, and well, when we go into the LC, I just kind of pick, that one really quick, boom, get it in there. But a lot of them, they do have on their label, this one is a New England IPA, it's a DIPA. This one's a hazy IPA. When they sneak in there with the West Coast IPA, that's not quite on the can until you get the description. So I feel like I need to read even closer if we're trying to talk about the different descriptions. But I love that I can see, I'm going through a sort of IPA, and then I see one and it says hazy IPA or New England IPA, and I go, not only, and the purpose of the show is to drink everything, but there's a little bit of an optimism cloud goes into New England IPA. Yes, I'm gonna like that. Yum, drink it up. So subsequently, when you see something, and on the back it says that we're gonna make this in a West Coast style, and you think,
fine, we have some acid and some wine thrown in.
Who likes heartburn? Woo! And I don't. It's not our favorite, obviously, but I also don't get the draw. But then again, I know people who really like eating very hot wings, and where I like, and I try to describe this: if your food is spicy, fine. Does it also have flavor? If it does, bring it on. But to eat or drink something that's just fire, and by fire I mean it's hot and flavorless. There's nothing to it. It's just, I'm on fire, and you're not even saying to yourself, but the sweetened this, and it's good, it's spicy, but it's more this flavor. When it's just fire, I don't get it.
I'm not a huge fan of heat either in my curries or
I just want it to make sense. However, I like it to make sense.
Can I about 2 or 3 months ago, I'm set up for work. I've got 20 minutes to go, and I hadn't eaten yet. And I remember suddenly that I had bought from the superstore some ramen, which was on 50% off. I am drawn to pink stickers, Ross, like a moth to a flame. And I see them in the superstore, and I thought, those things are on half price. Now, me being a big old meanie, I bought some ramen, and then it sat up there in the cupboard, and like I say, I had like 20 minutes left, and I thought, I better eat something. So I broke open this packet, and it said it was 2X, it said. Okay, it said 2X on it. And I then proceeded to throw the kettle, or the contents of the kettle, on this ramen packet, and then sit there around about 20 after 6 and took my first bite of this 2X ramen. And then I realized why it was a pink sticker. Because it wasn't selling. And I think mostly because most people who had tried it didn't want it ever again. I looked it up afterwards, and I realized that it was 10 times hotter than the next available hot ramen in that same series. It was fire. But Rebecca was saying to me, "Why are you eating that? Why are you eating?" And I'm like,
"Because you paid for it."
I paid 50% less for it. I still paid for it. The fact that it was only half price, I'm still going to eat it. There was nothing to. Normally, I'll throw cream in there, sour cream, yogurt, something, or if it's really, really hot. I had nothing on hand, and it was now 6:30, and I needed to set off for work. I'm going to get through this ramen, I said to myself, and I did. I was sweating profusely, napkins. The sleeve of my t-shirt, anything I could do to mop away the pain. But I thought, I'm going to get through this. It was astronomically hot. The hottest thing I've ever had in my life. But I did it. I managed it.
Do you remember the label? Was it red? Did it seem to look like there was a small chicken firing things out, and there were like Korean lettering, or probably it looks more like Korean than Japanese.
I took a photograph of it for that very reason. I still have it on my phone. I'm do it right now.
Fairly certain.
If I want videoing this.
I'm fairly certain that 3 or 4 years ago we saw, or at least Brittany saw, a pink sticker on a box/bag of like 6 to 8 packets of this ramen, and it was hot chicken flavor.
Oh yeah.
And I believe we tried it once, and then maybe, I don't know that we ever tried it a second time. And there is a distinct possibility that there's still one packet of it upstairs in the kitchen, or at least what we learned to do. So after the first time, we said, "I am never adding that sauce again," or the little packet of just magma, spice, crazy fire. And we said, nothing's telling us that we have to add the spice to it, right? We could leave that aside and just eat freaking noodles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've done since. So it's possible there are some of these hot chicken. I sent you the link to it, but if it's the fire, is the chicken holding a like old timey bomb from 1940s cartoons, little fuse sticking out? If you took a picture, send me the picture, because we may have both eaten the same thing.
I will. Right. Well, she was saying to me at the time, "You don't have to prove anything to me. You know, she knows."
It's not that. People don't get this. You get this, but people don't get this. British parents who made it either through World War II or were born during World War II, were brought up. This is where the whole finish everything on your plate thing came from.
Yeah.
And I learned something in my mid-30s. Finish everything in your plate is a terrible idea when you go to Canadian restaurants.
Because?
They put too damn much on your plate.
Well then you're not going to survive in the States. You're not going to survive in Las Vegas.
No, I am not. Where people eat like a couple little bites and then they're shoving everything back. But I'm looking at it saying, look at all this wasted food. Dude,
never mind. I actually went straight to the Southwest there. But you know what? I went to New England on a skiing holiday to Sunday River 30 years ago, something like that. It was my first trip to Maine. Okay.
What year?
And I just And someone said to me, "Oh, you've got to try the fish and chips from XYZ place," and I did. And they gave me this takeaway chicken and chips. Oh, sorry, chicken chips, fish and chips, which cost something like $10 or $12 at the time. And this whale arrived in a polystyrene, and it took me. It was 3 meals. For 3 different meals,
but
fish and chips. It was like 10 pounds of potatoes.
Even
and
two generations since the Battle of Britain, and we still have it in our soul, in my whole as a person. Don't waste anything.
I didn't, but that's the thing.
It's a part of my DNA.
Yes, the chips. If you try to reheat French fries, chips, call them what you like, they're awful.
Yes,
you can't reheat. But I did in the microwave twice, just so that I would finish them. The third meal.
Yep.
They tasted bopping, as you can imagine.
Oh, they're awful.
But but me, I'm like, well, I don't want to throw it away, so I'll keep eating. I have enough meal out of it.
We're the worst people that should be hosting this show.
Right.
We really are the worst kind of personalities. Because we'll say, your beer is terrible, but I'll keep drinking it just because it's ingrained.
Yeah. Even one got stuck to the bottom of my freezer a couple of years ago when it exploded. I still finished it, even though it was in frozen nugget form at the bottom of my freezer.
We've had cans of beer explode on us in our refrigerators, and what do?
I drink it.
We try it. We drink it. We try it.
I'm not throwing that away. I paid for that.
So
you paid for it.
Here's the thing. It is. It's not an excuse. It's not an apology. It's just how we are. We will not waste things. Every time I scrape something into the compost bin, I'm like, maybe I could have. But you have touched on something that came up very recently, and that is reheated fries. There's never. You're right. Microwaving, oven making. You can't reheat fries. So.
But I did.
Here's what happened. About 2 weeks ago, I think I was making my 2-year-old an omelet. He really likes, omelets, and so I mix it up and I pan fry some butter, and because you pan fry butter, you overdo it with butter because it's butter, and you just in there. So I made his omelet, and then there was a whole bunch of butter left in the pan, and I went, oh. And because of who I am, because I was raised by Scottish immigrants who were born despite the Battle of Britain, I look at that butter and I think, what can I do with some hot butter on the oven there, on the pan there? And so I go to the fridge where all my leftovers are that my wife mocks me. Or she always says, I'm hungry. And I say, there's leftovers. And she says, I don't want leftovers. Sorry, that's not my wife's voice. That's my wife's I don't want leftovers voice. And she says it exactly in that way in my brain. It's, I don't want leftovers, because she doesn't want leftovers, because she was raised by a different genealogical, everything. In the fridge is every leftover we've ever produced in the last 3 months. Because aforesaid reasons. But there are 2 boxes of French fries because, well, we've been involved in Burger Wars. So we go to Burger Wars and they said, oh, do you want French fries with that? And then they give you 3 pounds of French fries with your Burger Wars burger. And you're like, I couldn't possibly, no, calm down. And then, as the Canadians, the next thing they say to you after you're sitting there with your belt open and you're patting your stomach, and they say, do you want to see the dessert menu? And you're like, oh, go away. Never come back ever again in my life. But there's so many leftover French fries that we take home. And I thought, what if I just threw the leftover French fries that are, cold in the fridge? They've been staying there. It's only been a day or 2. What if I chucked them in the pan that has a delightful level of hot butter. And just sizzled them around, put a lid on it, sprinkled some salt and a little bit of pepper every now and then. Boom, just a little bit of that. Waited until they
How'd that work out, Chef?
and they started getting kind of golden, a little bit crispy. I have done that several times since. I'm 40 frickin' whatever the heck I am now, 46 years old, and I finally found the way to reuse leftover French fries. And it's butter on the pan.
There is a moment to this. There is a positive outcome to this.
Oh, absolutely.
So because all I've ever done is I know the only reason why I microwaved those that time was because there was no oven available in this little room I was in. It was a microwave, so I just made do with what I had. But normally I would throw them back in the oven, and then torch them to within an inch of their life, so that they are blackened, crispy things rather than soggy, crappy. So you're saying if I throw it in the pan with a little bit of melted butter,
yes,
then it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. That's good to know. I'll know that from now on.
It worked really well. So if you learned anything from drinking these two 8.5%, okay, I'm starting to feel it now, 8.5% double IPAs, it's how to reheat and reuse your French fries because your parents survived the Battle of Britain and you are just ingrained to never throw out food. You're welcome.
How much of your easy IPA do you have left?
My which?
Your happy place.
This.
I want to call it Hoppy. Yeah.
I also want to call it Hoppy Place, but it doesn't taste. I don't think it's a hoppy beer. It's
not at all. It's a really smooth tropical New England IPA, hazy IPA. Like I said, I've had a little bit of it before. This is a full can of it, and I really, really like it. It's not, even though the tropical storm for me is still almost the benchmark for it. But that, I guess, that is very, very sweet. This is, I might just go as far as to say this is actually an easier to drink.
I think it is too because it didn't give me the aftertaste burn. The North Brewing gave me the burn, but
oh no, the North Brewing. Sorry, I'm talking about the tropical storm.
Yeah.
That I was comparing.
Oh, sorry.
I should not be comparing this to the tropical storm because I know that's not the episode that we're on.
No, but
but these are not like.
As a double IPA, and I think you're right. And what is the term you usually say? Chalk and cheese? It's what North Americans call apples and oranges. They're difficult to compare to one another because one is an East Coast and one is a West. And I hesitate to compare them. So honestly, the hi-fi and all compliments to North. As a West Coast IPA, I think I think the hi-fi is as good of a West Coast DIPA as this Burnside Happy Place is an East Coast DIPA.
That's a really good way of putting it. In their own separate categories, they really are very, very good, even though we both obviously prefer one over the other just because of our personal
we like East Coast IPAs and so the Burnside, speaking individually as individuals, we will choose the Burnside every single time and it is phenomenal. But the two of them, when compared as a West Coast or an East Coast, they both hit their own descriptions and their own categories at nearly exactly the same way. When you read what you're expecting, when you read what's on the can, what you're expecting, they are both high 8s, near 9s for what they are presenting.
I'll go with that.
8.7, 8.8.
Yes. Right. One I've enjoyed far more than the other one just because of my personal taste. However, the Hi-Fi by North Brewing is really, really good for a double IPA West Coast. Hoppier, piney version. I
It it took me.
don't know.
It has taken me 4 years, 4 years, 3.5, to get you to conceptualize the point of this show, and you're finally there.
Do you know anyone that appreciates the two distinctly very different IPA versions equally?
Yes.
Do I know that person?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's us.
Good. Oh no, we don't. No, we don't. We don't.
That's what we just did. It's what we just did. You have the whole purpose of this is to be objective to everybody, all 100,000 people living in Nova Scotia. But this is what we're for. I am literally here for, well, okay, let's statistically say 80,000 people above legal drinking age in Nova Scotia who could try these. But I want them to find their favorite. I want everyone to find your favorite. And if you're like Kier and you want a really bitter, delicious West Coast IPA, heck yes, that was awesome. Find that. Enjoy it. But if you're like, and sadly, the two of us, we have too many things in common. We should be talking. We need a Siskel to our Ebert, I feel, is what this podcast kind of needs. Because I and we do our best. And I finally got you on board with, hey, you know what? Someone who isn't us would really like this. And I feel like that's the important thing that I'm trying to present.
Rebecca.
Uh-oh.
Would you like to try the dregs of my Hi-Fi happy place?
I've got bad news. She is not the Siskel to our Ebert. She's our third Ebert.
I've tried the happy place before, and she quite liked it, but she hasn't tried the Hi-Fi.
Oh.
Would you like to try to give me a... No, thank you, she said. I'm going back to the West Coast, and this is going to hit hard, Ross.
It is.
Even though I think, like you do, that this is a really, really good West Coast IPA,
it is.
It's going to really hurt.
It's a great representation of a beer I don't like.
Actually, it didn't. Surprisingly, it didn't.
It didn't tear my face off. Where's the...
No, it did not. Because the other one's so fruity and so hazy, and this one isn't. That's really surprising.
Oh,
okay,
there's
everything.
There's the burn. There's the burn.
Upside down.
The acidity. It's there.
That you don't get with the fruity version. Grapefruit.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. As usual, it's been fun. I can't wait till IPA night again. Can we do another one next week? No, I'm only kidding. Should we do
you know what?
Scottish really malty next week.
Heck
really
yes.
malty.
I've started doing IPA nights without you, and it's gone well, and I don't want it to go well because I want to talk to people who like these kind of burny acidity things like Anand and Kier, and I want to talk to them about IPA nights when you're not here because they're not very good. But then they end up being delicious, and I love them. And I said, oh, you would love these. So you're right. We do need to have another IPA night with a few guests and friends and everybody, and we'll try to get some opinions and whatnot. Do you know what? Maybe I'll go one more. Why don't we get back some of our, because I think Rob down at Great Roads, he said if you ever need an extra guest, and I know Ian Smith down at Tapestry Beer Bar 833 Sackville Drive, he would be on here in a minute. So what if it was us and a couple of actual brewers trying some ridiculous IPAs that we found in the NSLC? that sounds dangerous as all get out, but whatever.
I'm going to take my 0 level water here. No alkaline or acid I'm gonna get out of here. Cheers.
I wish my throat worked better. I wish my internet could handle Ian calling from space. I also wish that I remembered to credit Burnside Brewing instead of Breton Brewing, and I will try to get that absolutely right. I will make my apologies in the podcast afterwards. So when we finally do release this episode, it'll be Burnside Brewing, not Breton Brewing. But on the bright side, you can reach / find Ian and I usually hear it live on our YouTube page Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. youtube.com/@drinknsdry. You can find our podcast in all the podcasty places, Drink NS Dry, Drink Nova Scotia Dry, something like that. You can go straight to the source at drinkns.unsupervised.beer. We're on the TikToks, the Instagrams, and a couple of other in the YouTube shorts or some nonsense like that. But thank you for watching, everyone, and we will see you again next week. I want to thank Ian, I want to thank Burnside Brewing, and I want to thank North Brewing for the double IPAs that we tried tonight, and also Rebecca for her kind of tertiary opinions. But good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week.